Oh, hey there. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to stay cool while staying dressed up in the warmer weather. Okay, so let's go. Hello everybody, it's Robert Powers.
4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection.
These are made of shell cordovan.
Can you tell the difference? Now here they are finished up.
I'm not a professional. Look how tight this is though.
Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half. And here they are, all finished up.
Hello everybody, so today I'm going to show you how you can stay cooler even in the warmer weather while staying dressed up. I'll show you some things about slacks, dress shirts, as well as even some sport coats. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is actually about which types of clothes you should wear and what the materials effect is on you staying cool, okay? So what I've got here is actually just your regular old meat thermometer. This is what you use in the kitchen to, make sure your food is up to temperature. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is materials. And I think one area where materials, at least, I don't know, as a man trying to dress nicer, that I have in the past paid the least attention to is slacks. And with dress slacks, I'm going to talk about what you're generally going to see is wool versus polyester, okay? So first of all, polyester is a synthetic plastic material, basically, right? So I've gone on right now, I'll show you, a pair of Banana Republic slacks, and these are made of polyester. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to scoot over here into the nice sunshine. I'll put this on, time lapse, and I'm going to go for a measured 10 minutes in the sun, and I'm going to put a meat thermometer under the slacks, and then I'm going to show you the difference between two pairs of slacks that are basically the same color, only difference in the material, okay? So here's test number one. These are actually 68% polyester, I believe, and 8% wool, and a few other materials in there, but just basically mainly polyester. This is like a polyester blend, okay? So after 10 minutes, my leg, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the tip of the thermometer is right down there. It's basically steadily climbed, and it's at 107 degrees. So now let me go put on some wool slacks. I just hope my wife or daughters don't come outside and see me with a meat thermometer down my pants. Okay, and it was at 100 degrees when I stopped. Now it's up to 101 degrees. So you might say, okay, well, 6 degrees isn't a huge difference. But I'll tell you, the felt difference, here's the perceived difference I feel between the two pairs of slacks. The perceived difference I feel is that the polyester has this hot feel to it, where these feel warm. I think it just crosses a threshold where it just gets a little bit uncomfortable. To me, there's actually a viable, measurable perceived difference, and the wool is more comfortable. So let me explain a little more why the 107 degree polyester blend fabric feels a lot hotter than 6 to 7 degrees more than the 100 to 101 degree cotton. Now, this has to do with thermal conductivity. To put this into layman's terms, what happens if on a cold winter morning you get up and you get out of bed, you walk across your carpet? Because remember, the whole house has been at a fairly even temperature, let's say 68 degrees, a little on the chillier side. So if your whole house is 68 degrees, you walk across the carpeting and you're barefoot, and then you walk onto the tile. Immediately, aren't your feet cold on the tile, but feel warm on the carpet? Why? Well, if the whole house was 68 degrees for the entire 8-hour night, then the tile is 68 degrees and the carpet is 68 degrees. It's like the space shuttle tiles. Why can they have whatever they are, 100 or 1,000 degree Fahrenheit, space shuttle tile, and the people can hold them by the corners? Because the carpet and the tile have low thermal conductivity. In other words, they don't pass heat through the material very well. It's more of an insulator. Whereas the thermal conductivity of the polyester is higher, and the tile floor has a higher thermal conductivity. So because the tile floor is colder than your feet, it pulls the heat from your feet very quickly, where the carpet does not. So I found this on, it took a little bit of digging. It was actually difficult to find, but TextileStudyCenter. And this is a typical value of some thermal conductivity of some fibers. So this is measured in milliwatts per meter Kelvin. And for polyester, it says it's about 140 milliwatts per meter Kelvin, whereas for cotton, it's about 71 milliwatts per meter Kelvin, and for wool, about 54. So what that means is polyester, now this would probably be pure polyester, is about double the thermal conductivity of cotton and almost 3 times the thermal conductivity of wool. So what that means is both wool and cotton fairly similar. Wool has a little lower thermal conductivity even than cotton, but both wool and cotton are going to, oh, by the way, silk is right about equal with wool, okay? But so silk, wool, and cotton are going to, I guess, be more of a heat barrier from your body and not transmit heat into the material and then from the material to you. So in other words, 101 degree piece of cotton is going to feel cooler than a 101 degree piece of polyester fabric. There are actually more factors at work than this. For example, some fabrics like silk actually have, I just read, air trapped within the fabric itself, which serves as even more of a thermal barrier, helping to keep you cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. So, but that I think gives you some scientific proof for a lot of the reasons people say these things. So just to compare them side by side, here are the Banana Republic slacks, and the Ralph Lauren slacks that I'm wearing are 100% wool. Just to kind of let you see the color. They are very close in color. I would say the Banana Republic slacks might be lighter because they have a little bit more of like a dark and light pattern in them. So I think this is a very fair comparison. So you're going to have the same effect between polyester and cotton when it comes to dress shirts. Typically with the dress shirts, the cheaper ones are going to be like a 50-50, something in that ballpark, polyester and cotton blend. They pill, I think it's called pilling, where like they get these little, the polyester fibers stand up, they turn hairy. The way the fabric lays is awful, right? So just avoid them. I don't think I even have any polyester cotton blend shirts anymore. But here are 2 dress shirts. So the first one is, this is a Brooks Brothers dress shirt, all cotton. The second one is a Brooks Brothers shirt, also 100% cotton. And I'm going to show you here. Can you see the, fabric? Like I think it's, no, this isn't herringbone. I don't know what you call it, but it's got a cool little pattern on it. It kind of looks like it's blue. They're both Oxford button-down collars. Now I'm going to turn the camera around and put it towards the sun, and I'm going to show you how you can see the difference in fabric weight. So here's the first shirt. Here's the second one. Can you tell? Maybe side by side would be better. Right? But the first shirt, definitely, you see it's much more, right? Much more the light gets through. This is much lighter weight material. It's very easy to feel. So when you get one of these lighter weight shirts, they're definitely going to be cooler. So I'm not going to get into all the technicalities of the different weaves and weights of cotton. I'm not there yet. I don't know all that stuff. That's more of a gentleman's gazette kind of topic. But at least now you understand that you can look and feel the fabric weight and you can dress appropriately. So let me give you one other tip. And this one I actually learned from Real Men, Real Style, Antonio Centena. This is called the master roll. So if you've got a long sleeve dress shirt on and you're getting warm, here's a great way that you can roll your dress shirt and it doesn't mash up the cuff. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take the cuff and you're going to pull it up so that the bottom of this cuff is way past your elbow. I would say right up to about the middle of the bicep. So what you're really looking for is this part that's left here is enough to double the width of the cuff. So you're going to fold it back to right before the cuff, and then you're going to fold it again. Now this has got a couple advantages. The first advantage is, number one, it's short like a short sleeve and it's not hanging down over your elbow. But the second advantage is you're not folding the cuff itself. The barrel of the shirt itself is not folded at all. Third advantage of doing this is when you want to unroll it, you just grab inside here, just grab the barrel and you pull, right? So this is called the master roll. Once again, pull it up. You get one fold before the barrel. Try and get it a little bit flat. A second one to cover the barrel, and then the barrel is inside there, right? You do that on both sides, you've got a short sleeve dress shirt. So here it is with both sleeves rolled up. And for the afternoon, you've got yourself short sleeves when you need it. Jackets, I'm going to keep this more of a top level overview because I don't feel I'm qualified to get way in depth, and also that would make the video way too long. Some of the same properties are going to apply to jackets. You're going to want to look for lighter colors. Obviously this is darker, but you're going to want to look for the wool. You're going to want to look for the wool outers. Now here's a part that's widely overlooked. The lining itself. The lining, what you're going to want to look for is silk, Bemberg, or even rayon. Okay, generally speaking, the cheaper ones, they're not even going to tell you what they're made of. You could go to their website and they still won't tell you. That means they're not touting it as a higher quality natural material. It's probably polyester. It's going to trap heat more, as we already know. The cheaper linings are also going to have static electricity and like stick to your body more, and they're not going to wick the moisture out. So for example, this one here, I'll cut in a close-up picture of it, but if you pull the tag out of the pocket, this is, by the way, a Brooks Brothers, and this is a Brooks Brothers. This retail 1818 line, retail cost on this suit itself is about like 900 and some bucks. I got it for way less than that on eBay. Had it tailored. I have a whole nother video on that if you want to see it. But see all the details on the tag? If you look at the details on the tag, it says that the lining is 100% Bemberg. And what is Bemberg? Well, I'm glad you asked. Bemberg, and this is according to an article of themodestman.com, what is Bemberg and why it's the best lining fabric. So what is Bemberg? It's a proprietary name for a Cupro, I don't know what that means, Cupro fabric, made by a Japanese manufacturer. Blah, blah, blah. So basically, what is Cupro? Well, Cupro begins with a base material that is natural but requires a chemical processing to become usable fibers. In this case, it's made from cotton linter. Cotton linter is the fuzz around the cottonseed and is a byproduct of cottonseed oil. That's kind of interesting. So they use a bunch of chemicals, process it, and make it into a fabric, right? And then it's got great properties because basically you're getting something that's made from cotton, from a natural material, okay? Or from the cotton linter, I guess, right? So Bemberg not only does Bemberg look good, it also has many unique qualities that make it perhaps the most comfortable lining fabric available. Its function is even better than its look, and it starts with the physical properties of the individual fibers. Okay, so there you go. I hope that helps a little bit. Have you ever noticed when you look at videos or pictures of people in the Middle East, you look at Arabs, the traditional garb they wear is called a thobe. I think it's spelled Thobe. There's a few different spellings. Now, I have a friend who was born in Yemen. Yemen is a country just below Saudi Arabia. And I asked him this, because he was born there, lived most of his life here. And I'm like, how can you wear that? Because some of them are even black. It looks hot. And it's interesting. His point of view is people over there would look at what we wear and think it's hot. So first of all, Saudi Arabia, head covering, something thin cloth just to cover the head. Makes sense. It keeps the sun off. Now, in ancient times, they're all going to be natural materials. It has to be cotton or wool, I would assume, from where they live. Now, obviously, in modern times, people produce anything and make it cheaper on Amazon. But the thobe that they wear goes from the neck all the way down to the feet. So what you see is really your bare skin is protected from the sunlight. Here's what Zach, my friend, told me about the thobe. What happens is because it's long and flowing, you get a natural barrier of air because they have undershirts under that and like long shorts under the thobe. So what happens is, number one, you get a layer of insulating air, cooler air between your body and the outside. Number two, when you walk, he says the thobe moves and it pumps air. You get a breeze going through you. I was like, that's awesome. So if you think of it that way, some of the people that live in the hottest areas, they're not, baring their skin to the sunshine to get the air to them. Does that kind of make sense? So if you use the right materials, you get the same property within a jacket as well, and within your shirt and your undershirt. Does that make sense? So more layers doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be hotter. So in summary, here are 5 tips to stay cool. Tip number 1, dress shirts. Get the lighter weight 100% cotton shirts. For slacks, get the 100% wool or linen. Basically avoid for both of them the polyester and polyester blends. Number 2, as far as dress shirts, get the button down. It's called the Oxford collar. That's where the collar is buttoned down, and then wear it without a tie if it's appropriate. Tip number 3, for your dress shirt, use the master roll that I showed you to turn it into a short sleeve when needed, where appropriate. Tip number 4, wear a cotton undershirt. Wear a crew neck, that is the round neck t-shirt when you're wearing a tie. Wear the V-neck t-shirt when you don't wear a tie, that way you don't see the little triangle of the t-shirt. Now, tip number 5, for sport coats and suit jackets, wool or linen outers in lighter colors, and if at all possible, Bemberg, rayon, or silk linings. Half canvas or full canvas construction is what you want, not fused. If you don't know the difference between half canvas and fused linings, that's the way not linings, paddings. That's the way the padding is constructed. I will link some videos below. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you've ever dry heaved because a friend or coworker wore those black box toe loafers, you may want to consider subscribing to my channel. If you did like this video, please hit that like button. All right, God bless and take care. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, go to my YouTube page, Robert Powers, and then click on playlists. And from there, you can go to things such as before and after videos, where you'll find a whole list of videos similar to this one.